If you're a $3 million retiree, your tax bill in retirement is probably going to be higher than it was while you were working. I know that sounds wrong. Your salary just stopped. You're not earning a paycheck anymore. You'd assume the tax bill drops with it. It doesn't. The last year of work, you might have paid something like $38,000 in federal taxes. This year, your first full year of retirement, you might pay $44,000 on less income. And it gets worse every year because something is happening to your tax return that nobody on your financial team is modeling for you. 3 income sources are stacking on the same return simultaneously, and each one is pushing the others into a higher bracket. At 73 or 75, when required minimum distributions begin, you don't even choose the amount. The IRS does. And from that point forward, the stack gets larger every year for the rest of your retirement. If you have $2 to $5 million saved and you're within 10 years of retirement, this video is specifically for you. The stacking hasn't started yet. The window to prevent it is still open, but it closes when your RMDs start, whether you've used it or not. And what most $3 million retirees don't realize is that the difference between the default path and the coordinated path over a 20-year retirement is nearly $750,000 in lifetime taxes. Same portfolio, same returns, same Social Security benefit, different decisions in a 10-year window. I'm going to show you exactly why the tax bill goes up when income goes down, the mechanism nobody warned you about until it's already happening. And I'm going to walk you through the 4 decisions that take the stack apart before it forms, with the actual numbers behind both paths. But there's one decision in this framework that if you miss the window on it, partially breaks the other 3. I'll get to it in decision 1. It's the one nobody told the couple I'm about to tell you about, and it's the reason their tax bill went up $6,000 the day they retired. I'm Ryan Knoll, founder of NavWealth, a firm nationwide that helps people near retirement make smart money decisions. And be sure to stay until the end. I'm going to show you the exact math behind the stack and the 4 decisions that put you on the right side of it before it forms. I had a couple come in not long ago. Both were 67, $3.1 million saved across a 401k, a Roth, and a taxable brokerage account. They retired 2 years earlier. They were very smart people who had done almost everything right for 30 years. They came in confused about one number. Their tax bill had gone up in retirement, not slightly, by about $6,000 a year. And their CPA, he was projecting that it would keep climbing every year thereafter. They'd done what everyone told them to do: maximize their Social Security, let the 401k grow, spend from the taxable accounts first. They lived below their means their entire careers, and their federal tax bill in retirement was higher than it had been while they were working. If your plan looks anything like theirs, a traditional 401k that's large and preserved into your 70s, Social Security delayed for the bigger check, taxable brokerage drained first, the same thing is going to happen to you. The numbers might be different, the pattern is identical. So here's why the tax bill goes up when your income goes down. The tax code was written for people whose retirement incomes is simple: a pension, Social Security, maybe a small brokerage account, not for people who built $3 million or more across multiple account types that interact with each other in ways most retirement plans never model. Let me show you exactly how the stacking works in your return, because this is the mechanism that nobody sees until it's already happening to them. Source 1 is your biggest one, and that's your required minimum distribution. Your $3 million 401k, left untouched from age 63 to 73, grows to approximately $5.3 million at a 6% annual growth rate. Your first RMD at 73 is approximately $203,000, and that's mandatory whether you need it or not, whether the market is up or down, and whether you have income or not. That $203,000 is ordinary income. It lands on your tax return at your marginal rate, which is determined by everything else stacking with it, which leads us to the second source, which is Social Security. And up to 85% of your Social Security benefit is taxable depending on your provisional income. For most $3 million retirees, provisional income in retirement exceeds the threshold that makes 85% of that benefit taxable. So a $38,400 annual benefit adds about $32,640 of taxable income on top of that required distribution. And then there's the third source, which is your investment income. Dividends, interest on cash, and capital gains from your taxable brokerage add another $15,000 to $25,000 of income automatically every year, whether you sell anything or not. So the stack in this instance is $203,000 from RMDs. Your Social Security, which is 85% taxable, adds another $32,640. Let's say your investment income is right in the middle of what we just said. It's about $18,000 a year. Your adjusted gross income in this instance is $253,640. When you take out your standard deduction, your taxable income is $218,140. Total federal tax is roughly $37,500 and an effective tax rate of 17%. Now compare that to your last year of work. Same couple makes $180,000 combined salary. Taxable income after the deductions, $144,500. The federal tax in this instance is approximately $21,000, which is an effective rate of 14.5%. Retirement income excluding their forced distributions is lower. Federal tax is higher. And the stack is the reason. And here's the part that makes it permanent without intervention. The RMD percentage increases every year. The 401k balance continues to grow on whatever remains after the distribution. By age 78, the same account is forcing $250,000 or more onto your return annually. That stack grows, the bracket pressure grows, and the bill that surprised you at 73 becomes the floor, not the ceiling. Now I'll be honest with you, the couple I just walked you through, they're not that unusual. They're pretty typical. Most of the $3 million retirees who come into my practice come in confused about this exact problem. They did everything right for 30 years. They maxed out their 401k, they saved aggressively, they lived below their mean, and then they retired and their tax bill actually went up. The system that built their wealth wasn't designed for the system that taxes it. That's what frustrates me about the way this industry handles $3 million retirees. Nobody warns them about the stack before it forms. Their advisor is watching gross returns. Their CPA is filing last year's return. Nobody is modeling what the stack does to their tax bill when required distributions start, or what could have been done in their 60s to prevent it from happening at all. So let me show you the 4 decisions that take the stack apart. There's one move in the corridor years between retirement and 73 that does more than any other to prevent the stack from forming. And if you miss the window on it, the rest of the framework only partially works. I'm talking about Roth conversions during the corridor. The corridor between retirement and RMDs is where the stack is most preventable. Before RMDs begin, before Social Security adds provisional income, before the bracket pressure builds. Your taxable income is the lowest it will ever be in retirement. Every dollar you convert from traditional to Roth in the corridor is a dollar that will never generate a required distribution. It grows tax-free. It withdraws tax-free. It never appears in provisional income. It never triggers IRMA. Converting $100,000 to $150,000 per year from age 63 to 73, filling the 22% bracket deliberately, reduces the 401k balance that generates RMDs at RMD age. Your first RMD in this instance drops from $203,000 to approximately $90,000. The stack shrinks, the bracket stays manageable, but the conversion alone isn't enough. The order you spend from your accounts in those same years determines whether the conversion holds or gets undone. This is withdrawal sequencing, and most $3 million retirees are trained to do it backwards. The default path spends from taxable accounts first while preserving the 401k or the tax-deferred assets. And that seems logical. Let the tax-deferred money compound. But it does the opposite of what you want. The 401k keeps growing, which makes the RMD at 73 larger, which makes the stack worse. The coordinated path spends and converts simultaneously, drawing down the pre-tax balance through both spending and conversion while the window is open and the rates are favorable. Same total withdrawal, but a completely different tax outcome at 73. Before we continue on, I do want to point out that if you were born before 1960, RMDs will start at age 73. If you're born 1960 or later, they're going to start at 75. So just be aware of that when you start, because that's going to tell you how much time you need to have this strategy working for you. And then there's a timing decision that interacts with both of those moves. Most $3 million retirees get this one exactly wrong because the standard advice was written for someone with a totally different financial situation. This is Social Security timing. The year your Social Security starts adds taxable income from outside of your assets. Most people are told to wait until 70 to collect the biggest benefit. Often that is the correct move, but sometimes depending on your spending patterns and how your assets are split up, it may make sense to claim earlier. Regardless of when you claim, just be sure to factor that into your income picture for the year so you know exactly how much room you have in the tax brackets for other strategies. And the fourth decision is the one almost nobody talks about. And when it's missed, it can undo the first 3. And this is asset location. Ordinary income generating assets, REITs, high yield bonds, preferred stocks, held in your taxable brokerage, consume bracket space automatically every quarter and every year. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not making bad investments. The investments are just generating ordinary income on your return, whether you want them to or not. The coordinated framework moves those assets inside the IRA where they generate no current year tax event. The taxable brokerage holds qualified dividend stocks and growth assets. This single repositioning reduces your annual taxable income by $20,000 to $40,000 a year in this asset range, which preserves your bracket space for conversions and reduces the base of the stack before RMDs add to it. 4 decisions, each one reduces a layer of the stack. Together, they change your tax picture at 73 permanently, not by avoiding taxes, but by paying them at 22% on income you choose to, rather than at 24% or higher on income the IRS forces you to. If you want to see what your specific stack looks like, your RMDs, your Social Security, your investment income, all in the same return, I put together a free retirement income architecture blueprint. It's at navwealth.partners.com/income-blueprint. It shows exactly how RMDs, Social Security, and investment income stack on the same return, and what the coordinated income structure looks like for someone at your asset level. The link is in the description below if you want to go check it out. This is what I promised at the start, the actual math behind both paths. The couple I told you about retired at 63 with $3.1 million, $2.6 million in a traditional 401k, $300,000 in a Roth, $200,000 in a taxable brokerage. The default path, with no deliberate decisions, 401k grows untouched from 63 to 73. Their first RMD at 73 is about $186,000. Social Security adds $32,640. Investment income adds another $18,000. Total income is $236,640, of which $201,140 is taxable. The federal tax in this instance is $33,700 and an effective tax rate of 16.7%. Last year of work federal tax was $21,000. Retirement tax bill, nearly $34,000. That's an increase of $13,000 per year. That's only going to grow every year. And if your plan looks like the default path right now, with a large 401k, delayed Social Security, and a taxable brokerage account drained first, that's the trajectory you're on, whether or not anyone has named it for you. Now, there is the coordinated path they could follow as well, and that's 4 decisions made deliberately. Assuming they need $12,000 monthly to live on, here's how they should set up their withdrawal framework. First, take money from the IRA for their spending. In this case, it's $144,000 a year. This is ordinary income. Then fill up the 22% bracket with conversions. In this case, it's another $67,400 a year, and that's pulled from their IRA and converted to Roth. So their total adjusted gross income at this point is $211,400. From there, take out the standard deduction of $32,200 if they're under the age of 65 and $35,500 if they're over. That leaves them with taxable income. In this instance, we're going to assume it's very early on in their retirement and that they're under the age of 65. So their taxable income, or the amount that they're taxed on, is $179,200. They'll owe roughly $29,000 in taxes on that. They're going to pay those taxes from their brokerage account, and let's assume they need to realize $10,000 worth of gains to do that. This increases their taxable income to $189,200 and their taxes from capital gains by another $1,500. Now, they still have room left to work with because the 22% bracket is technically $211,400 of taxable income, meaning they still have $22,200 worth of space left. This is when they would want to run an analysis to see if converting up to the top of that bracket results in any projected tax savings down the line. If the answer is yes, convert more. If the answer is no, this is probably a good stopping point. They're going to follow this strategy for 7 years until they claim Social Security at 70. Then for the time frame between 70 and when their RMDs start, we're going to reduce the amount taken from the IRAs by the taxable portion of Social Security. Then walk through the same exact calculation we just did a moment ago. The result for a couple whose RMDs start at 73. An IRA at 73 is now worth about $1.5 million and necessitates roughly a $60,000 RMD. Their Roth IRA is now worth $2 million. And their brokerage account was exhausted by the time their RMD started. It actually lined up perfectly. To meet their spending needs moving forward, this couple can either stay in the 12% tax bracket or dip into the 22% bracket. Assuming they still need $144,000 a year to live on, they would receive $60,000 from RMDs in year 1 and an additional $38,400 from Social Security, of which only $32,640 is taxable. At this point, their adjusted gross income is $92,640. That's just their RMD plus their taxable portion of Social Security. After their standard deduction of $35,500, because now they're over the age of 65, taxable income is only $57,140. Now they have a spending gap of roughly $45,600. That's the $144 they need, less their RMD, less their total Social Security benefit. And to fill that gap, they first want to fill the 12% bracket with more IRA withdrawals. Given the current 12% bracket cap of $100,800, they have $43,660 of room to pull from traditional, which would be the recommendation. That is just the difference between the top of the 12% bracket and their current taxable income before another withdrawal to fill the spending gap. From there, they would still need roughly another $2,000 to meet their spending needs. They can get that by dipping into the IRA more, which would tip them into the 22% bracket for that portion of the withdrawal, and they'll pay another $600 in taxes, or simply supplement it from there with Roth withdrawals tax-free. Assuming they stayed in the 12% bracket, the total federal tax owed would be roughly $11,500 and an effective rate near 11%. And that is realistically the playbook for the rest of their retirement. Before we close out the video, there is one additional strategy I left out that is only valid through 2028. And that's the enhanced senior deduction. For married couples 65 and older, whose modified adjusted gross income is below $175,000, they would receive an additional $12,000 deduction on top of their standard deduction. That phases out between $175,000 and $250,000 of modified adjusted gross income. So for a couple filling the 22% bracket, they would receive an additional $2,640 each year to supercharge this strategy even more. I left it out for simplicity and because it's going away in 2 years, but it's just another tool in your arsenal until that happens. Now, you spent 30 years building a $3 million portfolio expecting the tax bill to drop when the salary stopped. The tax code doesn't work that way at this asset level. 3 income sources stacking on the same return, RMDs, Social Security, and investment income, produce a tax bill that most $3 million retirees never projected and never planned for. And without intervention, it grows every single year. The 4 decisions that prevent the stack are available to most people watching this video right now. Roth conversions during the corridor, coordinated withdrawal sequencing, Social Security timing calibrated to your specific income picture, and asset location aligned with how each account actually gets taxed. But these decisions have a window. It opens when the salary stops and closes when RMDs begin at 73. Every year inside that window that goes unused is a year the stack compounds on the IRS's terms, not yours. If you want to model what your specific stack looks like, what your RMD will be at 73, how much of your Social Security will be taxable, where your bracket space actually sits, that conversation belongs on my team's calendar. There's a link in the description. Just your specific numbers and your specific stack. Because the smartest thing you can do with a $3 million retirement is make sure that every decision counts. I'll see you in the next video.